You are watching No Filter with Debbie. I'm Debbie Schlussel, and these are my views and opinions. Welcome to No Filter with Debbie. I'm Debbie Schlussel, and you know what's driving me crazy? What's driving me crazy is everything connected to the election, the top of the ballot of which the results we do not know. So we don't know yet who is going to be our next president, but right now it's looking very, very bad for Donald Trump and very, very good for Joe Biden. Unfortunately, these states that we are looking at, Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Nevada, they're now all for Joe Biden. So right now, there are slim leads in some of these states, Georgia and Pennsylvania, and larger leads in states like Nevada and Arizona. So Nevada, for example, right now, 87% of the vote has been counted. So that state and Pennsylvania are the best bets for President Trump right now to win. To win those states, not necessarily the presidency and the electoral victory. Nevada, 21,000 votes, Joe Biden is ahead. And there is 13% left. Unfortunately, that 13%, who knows who it is? It could be these unions. You know, you may not know this about Vegas, but Vegas has a lot of influence on the rest of the state. Yes, parts of the state are red and very conservative, but unfortunately, there are a lot of unions in Vegas. So what happens in Vegas, unfortunately, doesn't just stay there. It's all over the state, and unfortunately, it may be a bad result for the rest of the country because the SEIU, which is the union that represents many of the Vegas caterers, many of the food workers, many of the other service industry employees at those hotels and casinos and so on, they had a very good organization in terms of getting out the vote. So that 13% may not turn it around for Trump. Pennsylvania, well, we don't know because they're supposed to finish today, then they said over the weekend. We don't know. Georgia, it looks like that is almost finished or basically finished. I think it's 99% of the vote, but they are going to recount it because the margin is so slim. It's like 1,000 votes or a few hundred votes. It's very, very close with 99% counted. Arizona, well, that's another one where the president could turn it around, but it's not looking like it. Joe Biden keeps increasing his lead. This is not good. Now, I'm not saying this is all legitimate. Unfortunately, though, all of the people on the Trump side, and I am a big supporter of the president. I voted for him proudly 3 times. Once in the Michigan primary 4 years ago, another time when he ran in the general, and this time around in the general. We didn't have a primary. But I voted for him proudly. I'm a big supporter, but I do think sometimes if you cannot prove your case, you're going to lose and you may have to accept the results. I'm not saying the president should just concede and say, President Biden, he's the president. No, 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 no. I think if there is any grounds for any kind of legal action or lawsuits anywhere, he should absolutely pursue it. Absolutely. The problem is, a lot of these counts have already been done. And so let's say you find evidence of fraud. How are you going to change the election results? Courts are very reluctant to do that. And when you're talking about tens of thousands of votes, it's going to be hard to find something to turn around tens of thousands of votes. Now, in a recount like Georgia, if it's a few hundred votes or even 1,000 votes or a little over 1,000, you may find something. As I told you on the show yesterday, I went through a recount when I lost by 1 vote for the Michigan House of Representatives. It is very, very hard, especially now in the age of electronics, to find votes for your side or evidence of fraud. Now in Michigan today, Ronna Romney McDaniel did have a press conference. She did put forth affidavits by a contractor that was involved in the counting in downtown Detroit. You've probably heard about a lot that was going on. They would not, we talked about this on yesterday's show, that they would not let in poll watchers for Trump. The minute somebody left, if there was somebody to fill in for them or take over the shift, they would not let that person in. They asked them their party affiliation, and then they said, oh, we're all filled up for both parties. And there was a guy I saw on TV, he said he came for his shift, the doors were locked, they would not open them. Last night, even on ABC News of all places, I was shocked that they showed this, but they were blocking the windows with cardboard. Now, if nothing dishonest is going on, and you have nothing to hide, why would you put cardboard in front of windows? What are you trying to block people from seeing? When you do things like this, that's why how you sow the seeds of doubt. And that's why you see all of these people talking about stolen elections. So today, Ronna Romney McDaniel talked about more that was going down in downtown Detroit. She found a contractor. The contractor said that ballots were coming in that did not have a postmark on them. It was not clear when they were sent. They could have been sent after Election Day, after 8 p.m. on Election Day, and that the poll workers were instructed to ignore those and to lie on forms or wherever it was and put it down as having come in on December 2nd or November 2nd or 3rd. Now that is absolute fraud. But what are you going to do with that now? They already completed the count in Michigan. And so here's the problem. You go before a court, as they already have, and they were shut down, but that doesn't mean they can't go before a court again. You go before a court and you say, I have this evidence. This person signed an affidavit. The judge is going to say, well, how many ballots? He doesn't know. It's not on the affidavit how many there were because he doesn't know. And the judge is going to say, well, what do you want me to do about it now? You want me to turn over the election results? We're not holding a new election in Michigan. We're not going to revote this thing. It's not going to happen. The time for this contractor to have come out to say this was immediately when he first saw it. And then what they could have done with that affidavit is go to court immediately, to federal court, to ask a judge to immediately issue an injunction to stop, or a restraining order to stop the counting until and unless there are observers from both sides in there 24/7 and it's completely transparent. Now, it's probably too late. And that's why I think our side, at least my side, if you're supporting the president, it's our side, is going to lose. It does not look good for the president right now. Some media outlets say Joe Biden already has 264 electoral votes. Others say in the 250s. I've seen different numbers, 240s, but they all show Joe Biden ahead, and he is ahead in all 4 states: Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Nevada. And unfortunately, I do not think the president's going to catch up. So that was in Michigan, the suspicious events. Now, I saw this last night on either ABC or CBS News, of all places. These are liberal media outlets. They showed that poll watchers there from the Trump campaign and from any campaign were not allowed anywhere near the vote counting. They showed this man having to look from basically a balcony or a fenced off area through binoculars. How are you going to see what's going on that way? You wonder why people say there's fraud and there's ballot stealing and there's election stealing. Because when you put on these ridiculous restrictions, you, again, sow the seeds of suspicion, and people have doubts. And I warned about this for months on this show before the elections. I said mail-in voting was going to cause a lack of confidence in our election results. I was right. I said that the counting was going to change the results because initially it's going to be on Election Day, Republicans, and then the absentees or the mail-ins are going to be overwhelmingly Democrat. I was right. And now people are angry. They're suspicious. They have every right to be. It's not a good system. When we come back, I'll tell you what I would suggest we should do, and I'll tell you about the current state of the House and Senate races. That and more after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
it's a Canline Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our hay-bossing breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at our salad bar. Sink your teeth into our famous Canline burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spur rattling pie with a calm roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
Beck Communications is honored to be recently recognized with 3 Broadband Now awards. Beck Communications Cooperative was awarded in the categories of Top Internet Speeds Nationwide, Top 3 Fastest Internet Providers in North Dakota, and North Dakota's #1 Fastest Fiber Provider. It's only through the support of our members and customers that Beck Fiber delivers award-winning speeds and service. Thank you, Beck Communications Cooperative members and customers, for your years of continued support.
Introducing Accord Comfort Sleep Systems, a better way to sleep. We offer you 5 different models to give you the perfect choice of support and body comfort. Every model begins with our exclusive Accord Comfort Reflex Layer. This ensures proper spinal alignment and a deep down body relief. Our 8-inch Whisper Breeze provides a medium firm feel, and our 10-inch Gentle Night model has a quilted top, giving you a medium plush comfort. Both use Outlast fabric on the top of your mattress, ensuring that your body temperature is not too hot and not too cold. Our Copper Rest Sleep Series is our premier mattress, offering your choice of firm, plush, and luxury plush. Every model uses copper-infused gel latex and provides all the health benefits of copper. Accord Comfort mattresses are handcrafted in the USA and come with a 60-night sleep guarantee. You're going to love sleeping with us. Order today exclusively at accordsleep.com or Tom's Home Furnishings in beautiful downtown Harvey.
Is your business phone system outdated and expensive to maintain? Most large VoIP companies leave you on hold or struggling through online support and training for your employees. With Beck Connect, you always have fast, friendly, local support. Familiar faces with the know-how to keep you connected. Take advantage of the newest technology in voice calling, video conferencing, and virtual meeting rooms. Beck Connect gives you all the features you need with no upfront investment and no obsolete hardware or software ever again. Simplify your communications. Choose local. Choose Beck Connect.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie. Now, before the break, we were talking about the election results, and there is still more. And we talked about this yesterday, about how the Republicans made incredible gains, despite the Democrats spending millions of dollars. I think I mentioned yesterday they spent millions in Texas, and they did not flip seats in Texas that they believed should have easily been flipped. Districts they thought were more diverse and more blue wave-ish did not happen. So here is what's going on in the House of Representatives. The Democrats, a total of 4 seats lost. Now, as we discussed yesterday, they actually lost more than that, more seats flipped. But when you look at the difference in numbers, because the Republicans, even though the Republicans didn't lose any seats, there was 1 seat that was a third party. That's gone. And so on. So there are other differences, and the Republicans may lose a seat or 2 when this is all over. The Democrats may gain some more seats, but their net loss was 4 seats so far. They got 212. The GOP has 194 seats so far. They have a net gain of 5, so they went up. And as you know, 435 seats in the House. So that means there are 29 seats that are undecided still, or that we do not know the results because it has been deemed too close to call by states, by media outlets. The counting goes on. Now in the Senate, so far there are 46 Democrats that have been elected. On the Republican side, the other side of the aisle, 48 have been elected. So, as we know, 51 is the magic number, because then the Republicans will be in the majority. If they stay at 50, they will probably lose every single time, unless they can convince one Democrat senator to go with them, and that's going to be very, very tough. And the reason why they will lose every time, if you've taken a government class in high school, then you know that when there is a tie in the Senate, the vice president will break the tie. And if Joe Biden wins, as it is unfortunately and very sadly looking like that will happen, then Kamala Harris is going to be the tiebreaker, or whoever she appoints as vice president when she takes over from Joe. I mean, let's face it, that's going to happen. So right now, Georgia is really what's going to decide this. So Georgia, as you may know, has 2 Senate seats that were up. And Georgia, it's in the South, as we know, and a lot of these southern states have these runoff rules. And the rule is if the person who wins, who gets the most, does not pass the 50% mark, or I think they have to get 50%, then they have to have a runoff. And that has happened in both cases. So there's Senator David Perdue. You have to get 50. So Senator David Perdue, he fell below 50, so he is running against his challenger, John Ossoff, who is a real far-left liberal, just not a good guy at all. Then there is Senator Kelly Loeffler, and we have talked about her before on the show. I'm not a fan. She is one of these liberal rhino Republicans, but worse than that, she did insider trading. She is the richest member of Congress. She's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. All of it because she made it the old-fashioned way. She married it. Yes, she married the head of the New York Stock Exchange. So she got hundreds of millions of dollars, but it wasn't enough. She's super greedy. When she got this top secret classified briefing, as we all know, in January, they had that. 4 senators traded on it, 3 or 4 of them. She was one of them, and she was not prosecuted. She actually got a softball interview on Fox News from Mr. Tucker Carlson, who somebody gave him the memo, or he decided himself to whitewash her, and she gave all these unbelievable answers that are not to be believed. Oh, my broker makes all my decisions for me. Well, the question to that is, can we talk with him? Did you talk with him after this briefing? Can we see your phone records? He didn't ask any of that. He just took her at her word, because senators and politicians, they never lie. Everything they say can be believed, especially if they're greedy and they're trading on insider tips about COVID, which is what she did. Yeah, being the richest member of Congress, being worth hundreds of millions of dollars, not enough. We need to make more. So I'm not a fan, but unfortunately, we're going to have to hope that if you're conservative and you care about the future of America, that she wins. So she also has a challenger, and she actually, his name is Warnock. She's going to handle him with aplomb, because very easily dispatch him, because she had actually another challenger in the primary. The person that Governor Brian Kemp should have appointed to the seat instead of her, and Trump wanted him to appoint this person. It was Doug Collins. He was a real conservative. Unfortunately, he didn't get it. So this all rests on what's going to happen in January. These races are in January. So we're still going to have to wait for major parts of this. Not president, I hope, but major parts of the results. It's not a good thing for America. All right, so those are the races. Now, here's something else that's going on that's related to the elections and what people thought was going to be post-election violence, which has happened. And it has nothing to do with who won or who didn't win. Many major retailers boarded up their shops. Tiffany's, Saks Fifth Avenue, CVS, Target, Macy's, they all boarded up. Why? Because they thought, we're going to be looted. They've seen all the film, all the footage of everything that's been going on so far since the death of George Floyd, and also a couple of years before that was going on. So they're all boarded up. There are stores boarded up all over America. All of Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills is boarded up. And They're still boarded up because they don't know, because we don't have a result. There is violence in Portland and other places, and we'll talk about that. They don't know what the result is going to be. They don't know if this violence is going to end. Not good for America, not good for our economy that's already in a very sickly status right now. All right, now, so the violence does continue. There was violence in New York, and there was violence in Portland. So a Portland church has been, unfortunately, they have to shut down. So there's some of the violence. That's the violence in New York. Look at that. This happened on election night after the polls closed. Look at this. They don't know who won, but this is how they behaved. It might have even been, I think there was similar violence last night too. Look at, they're attacking police. Anybody that told you if Joe Biden gets elected and they're going to be happy about that and they're not going to continue to riot, I could have told you that months ago. They are going to riot. They are looking for an excuse or no excuse at all to foment violence on this country, to destroy America. That's what they do. And a church in Portland, St. Andre Bessette Church, according to the Portland Tribune, they have had to shut their doors because rioters caused so much damage and they're just afraid to remain open. So they're closed for the foreseeable future. You know what? That was a homeless shelter. They serve several hundred meals a day to homeless people. This is what happens. It's not good for anybody. When we come back, we will talk more election aftermath. Will President Trump be running again? Could be. That and more after these messages on No Filter with Debbie. I'm back.
I just went in for a regular mammogram and I found out that I had a little tumor.
Through the exam and the biopsy, it was determined that I had cancer.
I got a call from one of my doctors that I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
After 5 years, they found a local reoccurrence.
The first thing you hear when you're told you have a cancer, it's a little daunting because you don't know where to go with it.
Since 1999, in a partnership between CHI St. Alexius Health and Sanford Health Bismarck, the Bismarck Cancer Center has provided the most advanced radiation therapies and holistic support services for cancer patients and their loved ones for 20 years.
I've been at the Bismarck Cancer Center since it started. I actually was in the basement of Med Center 1 before, when we had old machines and old equipment. And thankfully, the two hospitals at the time, St. Alexius and Med Center 1, joined forces to create the Bismarck Cancer Center.
I walk in the door, I get nothing but hugs, and I was marveled at them. I mean, I thought it was the best place in the world.
The staff is unbelievably compassionate, and they explain everything to you.
Everybody's genuinely concerned about your well-being, and the level of care is just top-notch. The Cancer Center just does such an amazing job of helping people.
To me and my family, the Cancer Center means life. It's given me the ability to live out my life with my family, my wife, my children, my grandchildren.
Because of them, I'm 2 years out, get to move on with my life, make a difference now for other people.
I would recommend this center because the minute you walk through that door, they've got your back.
This center means so much to me and to the people that are in this building, and we just want to keep giving it back to the community and providing for them what they need.
I'm Katie. I've been cancer-free for 2 years.
I'm Steve, and I've been cancer-free for 4 years.
I've been cancer-free for 10 years.
10 years.
11 years.
15 years.
My name is Lainey, and I've been cancer-free for 18 years.
Bismarck Cancer Center, your partner against cancer for 20 years.
Who do you trust with your digital life? Not all cloud backup providers keep your data truly private. Beck Cloud Backup uses advanced multi-layer encryption to keep your family photos, videos, and sensitive business documents secure and only for your eyes. Your Beck Lightband Internet service already includes 50 gigs of free storage to keep your digital life safe and secure. Call us at 701-475-2361 to start using your Beck Cloud Backup today.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. So before the break, we talked about the violence in Portland, and I just wanted to add one other thing. These rioters didn't just attack a homeless shelter. They set fire to City Hall. They set fire to a commissioner's home. These are lawless people. This is going to continue, and if Joe Biden is president, he's not going to do anything about it. Nothing. So we have that to look forward to, possibly. Now, speaking of attacks, so there were plenty of attacks on President Trump because on election night he declared victory. He hasn't taken it back, and I'm glad he hasn't. As we know, politicians and other people declare victory all the time. It's public relations. Joe Biden said, we're going to win this thing the whole time he was campaigning. Anybody that runs for office says that. People put the best light on what they are doing for public consumption. There was nothing wrong with what President Trump said, but of course, every single media report jumped on him and said there's no basis in fact, he declared this without proof, blah, blah, blah. It's like, just shut up. I don't need you to be my fact checker, media. Just report. I'm going to decide. Now, I know that used to be the slogan of Fox News. They dropped it because they don't do that anymore either. They criticized the president also. They called Arizona before it was even counted. It's still being counted. And we'll talk about Arizona in a second again. But speaking of the president, let's say he loses. I hope that doesn't happen, but it's looking that way, as we said. If he loses, there is talk he is going to run again in 2024. Mick Mulvaney, his former chief of staff, said he's absolutely running. Many Trump staffers say the president is already talking with people about doing it. He's already putting together a team. And not only that, but he may put together a network to compete with Fox and Beck. Maybe he can join up with us. We don't know. But he's putting together a team. He may have a network to promote himself and his possible run in 2024. Now, he is 74 now. So he would be 78 then. Joe Biden's 77 though. And everyone's telling us he's fine. Listen, President Trump is like 50 years younger than Joe Biden in human years. I mean, he's got boundless energy. He could still do this in 4 years. And he may. Who else is running? Well, Senator Tom Cotton from Arkansas. Good conservative, good, proud American, very patriotic. I would support him, but it will be interesting to see if President Trump runs and if they run against each other. I don't think the Republican Party will change that much. Now, speaking of Arizona, which I mentioned earlier, Senator Mark Kelly, he has declared victory. Arizona has counted most of its votes. Apparently, his opponent, Martha McSally, cannot catch up to him. So he has declared himself the winner, and the state has declared him the winner, and so has the media. And it looks like he probably will be the winner. Now, I do not like this guy at all. Why? Because you probably remember his wife. That was Gabby Giffords. She was the congresswoman from Arizona who was shot in the head, and she has significant brain damage. She is not in a good mental state. So what did he do? Did he stay home like a good husband and take care of her or make sure she had the best health care? Well, she already has the best health care. You know why? She was a member of Congress at the time. And we all know that members of the U.S. House and Senate, they're not on Obamacare. They have a different plan. They exempted themselves because not for me, just for thee. Do as I say, not as I do. So she's got a great health care plan. But still, she's his wife. She was wounded. She is still brain damaged. So what did he do? He used that. He used that as a campaign marketing technique. Look at my wife. Look at her. Look at she's brain damaged. This is a marketing tool. This is a job interview gimmick. And you know what I say? Only a complete scumbag would use his wife's severe injuries, her brain damage, as a marketing tool and a job interview technique and gimmick. Apparently, people of Arizona were not smart enough. They did not see through that, and apparently they elected him. By the way, he's a super super duper hypocrite. He claims he's for gun control, and because his wife was shot with a gun, shot in the head, she was not stabbed or blown up, which could have been a lot worse and a lot more fatal. And that's what's going to happen, by the way, if you restrict guns and take them away from people. It's going to escalate. They're going to use things that are a lot more bloody and a lot more deadly and kill a lot and wound a lot more people. So he's for gun control, but he's such a hypocrite. He wants to ban AR-15, so he doesn't want anybody else to have an AR. I am a gun owner. I own a shotgun, but I don't know a lot about ARs. But he wants to ban ARs. He wants to ban all semi-automatic weapons. He doesn't understand that that's what many Americans own, all right? He went to a gun store and tried to buy an AR for himself. This is a total hypocrite. Again, it's restrictions for thee, but not for me. Do as I say, not as I do. This guy is a complete jerk, but apparently he's going to be the next senator. I wish he would go back to space and stay there. Unfortunately, we're not so lucky. All right, do you remember Greta Thunberg? I'd like to forget her. This is the girl, she's 16, I think she's 17 now, but she was 16. She is this climate change activist. She yelled and screamed and whined at the UN. She reminded me, I said this on earlier shows, she reminded me of the woman named Veruca Salt. Veruca Salt was that character in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory who was that spoiled little rich girl who said, "Daddy, Daddy, I want a golden ticket and I want it now." And she had her father pay all his employees to buy all these candy bars and look through them for her golden ticket. That's this girl. She's a spoiled brat. She doesn't understand reality. Her parents have coached her to be a climate change activist. She's the one, she spoke at the UN, she attacked President Trump, and she said, "You have stolen my dreams. You have taken my childhood. You have ruined my life." Are you serious? You know whose life has been stolen, whose childhood has been taken? The Yazidi girls who were raped by ISIS. Anne Frank and many other kids who were murdered in the Holocaust. The children of Rwanda. All right, that's kids killed in the inner city in drive-by shootings. That's whose dreams were stolen. That's whose childhood was taken. Not this spoiled brat who's treated like a jet-setting celebrity. She does jet set, by the way. So look at this tweet. She's taken to attacking President Trump. So she used one of his tweets. He sent that tweet to her saying that she should work on her anger management and go to a good old-fashioned movie with a friend. She said the same thing and told her to chill. And he was right on the money. This is an angry, spoiled girl, very troubled. Yes, I know she's semi-autistic, but you know, she's a high-functioning. She knows what she's doing, and her parents definitely know what they are doing. So please, Greta, I wish she would go away. She's back in school. Sadly, no such luck. When we come back, we will talk about some election aftermath in North Dakota and some No Filter movie reviews. That and more after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
Bismarck Central, 4800.
4800, go ahead.
Requesting social services on-call team.
Stand by. 4800 social services requesting additional information.
You can advise social services that we have a 18-month-old female who was in a residence with a mother, now being transported to medical care for overdose.
Trusting your digital life to faceless tech giants can be risky. Will they keep your family and business information truly safe from prying eyes? If you subscribe to local Beck Lightband Internet service, you already have Beck Cloud Backup. Beck Cloud Backup is the safest, most private cloud storage for all your family memories, schoolwork, and business documents. Call 701-475-2361 to start using your free space on Beck Cloud Backup today.
You just might find the home of your dreams this weekend by watching the Alliance Real Estate Tour of Homes Sundays at 6 p.m. and Wednesdays at 7 on Beck, featuring properties from Bismarck, Mandan, Minot, and surrounding areas. The Alliance Real Estate Tour of Homes presents desirable properties that are for sale, lets you meet your Alliance realtors, and provides critical insights into local happenings from community and business leaders. Join us this Sunday evening at 6 or Wednesday at 7 for the Alliance Real Estate Tour of Homes on Beck.
Today's households have more digital devices than ever before. More links to family, business, education, and entertainment. Beck Communications spent over 10 years building North Dakota's fastest fiber optic internet service. Beck Lightband Internet, outpacing speeds in large cities nationwide. Lightband Internet handles all your digital needs without throttling your connection to the world. Beck Communications, valuable digital connections in rural North Dakota.
Howdy folks, it's the County Line Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hey Boss and Breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at our salad bar, sink your teeth into our famous County Line burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spur rattling pie with a combo roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. Now, I am a conservative. I do believe in America's future and that it should be bright, and I hope it still will be despite who may become president. I am a patriot, and I side usually with people who think like I do, unless they do something really ridiculous like what Steve Bannon did. Now, I have already said on this show, Steve Bannon, it appears, ripped off innocent people. This is a very wealthy guy. He's a multi-millionaire, and he ripped off average working class people for his phony Build the Wall campaign. I'm all for building the wall, but he ripped off people and used the money for himself. So listen to what he did, and this is why he's been banned from Twitter forever. I was banned from Twitter for doing nothing compared to this, and nothing compared to anything. I'm back on Twitter, by the way, in a different account, but my original account was banned. Listen to what he did. He tweeted that, or I'm sorry, he talked, this was not in a tweet, but, and this is my problem with Twitter. They attack people for outside behavior. Maybe in this case, though, it's very warranted. He said on his podcast, The War Room, that he thinks that President Trump should not only fire Anthony Fauci and the FBI Director Wray, he should dismember these officials as a warning to federal bureaucrats. Dismember them, he says, to put their heads on pikes. Now, I know he didn't really mean that, but you can't talk like that. You cannot talk like that about federal officials. You cannot. That was just a dumb move. So that's him. Now, North Dakota, let's get to something more interesting. So as you know, North Dakota, we are home to 5 federally recognized Indian tribes, 5 of them. And the Native Americans were expected to have a much bigger turnout this time around. They were organizing, they were active. I told you yesterday that a surprising more than 50%, according to exit polls, if they're to be believed, voted for the president. Well, there was a huge turnout of Native Americans around the country, but in North Dakota, they actually did not have as large of a turnout. 3 counties that hold 3 reservations saw less than 50% of people voting in this year's presidential election. The Standing Rock Sioux tribe had significantly less turnout than they did in 2016, which you would think would be the opposite because they're super liberal. They don't want the Dakota Access Pipeline to go forward. We know about other lawsuits, and we'll talk about that later if we have time. But they are liberal. They are far leftists. And they, as far as I'm concerned, as I have said before, these sovereign nations, they're sovereign nations. Don't vote in our elections. We don't vote in your tribal elections. I don't like this. But they did vote, and they didn't have as good a turnout. That's good. I'm glad. So that's them. Now, here's something else in North Dakota that I have been talking about on this show since the beginning, and that is Dave Ondal. So the late Dave Ondal, may he rest in peace. Fortunately, he passed away from COVID. His name was still on the ballot because that's how North Dakota does things, especially since a lot of people had already voted for him by mail and turned it in. So he won. He only got like 35% of the vote. And the reason for that is I believe a lot of people knew that he had passed away, so they either wrote somebody in, or they voted for the other party, or they just didn't vote in that race. I don't know, but well, that wouldn't have diminished the 35%. But I do think what would have happened is they voted for someone else, and that would have diminished it. So he won. Governor Burgum appointed somebody else, an energy executive, Mr. Beauchamp, and Wayne Stenstrom, the Attorney General, said, no, you can't do that because, first of all, the election has to be certified first with the current winner, which is Mr. Ondal. And secondly, only the legislature can appoint his replacement, to which the majority leader said he agreed. This is our job. Well, Governor Burgum gave a press conference yesterday because COVID cases have gone up, and he talked about how he was raising the threat level in the risk assessment level for COVID in 22 counties. And at the press conference, he said he was standing with his decision. He is not going to back down. I think this is going to end up in a lawsuit. Don't be surprised if you see the legislature suing the governor. And don't be surprised if Mr. Stenstrom ends up being the attorney on this. The state may sue the governor. This will be interesting to watch. I look forward to it. All right, now, it is Friday, and you know what happens on Friday. That's the day new movies are usually released. And as you may know, I'm a movie critic, and I watch a lot of movies, and I review them so that you don't have to. I perform a service because most movies these days are garbage, and I want to save you the $10 plus. You might spend more on popcorn and a drink, and 2 hours of your life you'll never get back. And that is absolutely the case with the movie Let Him Go that comes out today, starring Kevin Costner and Diane Lane. And it goes with the question I want to ask today, which is, why does Hollywood hate North Dakota so much? This is an anti-North Dakota movie. Basically, it's a couple played by Lane and Costner whose son dies, their daughter-in-law marries somebody else and takes their grandson to North Dakota to stay with his family. The family is a cultish crime family type. They're no good. They're evil people. I mean, there's hands chopped off in this movie. There's murders. It's a very dark, depressing movie. Who would want to see this? And everybody in North Dakota is evil except one Native American from Bismarck who said that he had to leave and live on his own in the country because North Dakotans are so evil that they wanted to take the Indian out of him, and they took him away from his mother and cut his hair and everything else, and made sure he no longer spoke the native language, so he couldn't communicate with his grandmother, and she couldn't understand him. The police in North Dakota are in on this evil family, this evil crime family. Everybody's corrupt. North Dakota's the worst. And, you know, I've noticed this trend a lot. And when we come back, I'm going to mention a few more movies that are super anti-North Dakota, and I don't understand it. That and more after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
He once won a spelling bee in an ancient language that he did not speak. He is the only man to ever earn extra credit on an IQ exam. His academic degrees are considered legitimate spending currency in 22 nations, 2 principalities, and at Chick-fil-A restaurants in the United States and Western Canada.
I do not always engage with education programming, but when I do, it is the Dr. Duke Show.
Stay educated with the Dr. Duke Show, weekdays at 4 p.m. on Beck News.
Introducing Accord Comfort Sleep Systems, a better way to sleep. We offer you 5 different models to give you the perfect choice of support and body comfort. Every model begins with our exclusive Accord Comfort Reflex Layer. This ensures proper spinal alignment and a deep down body relief. Our 8-inch Whisper Breeze provides a medium firm feel, and our 10-inch Gentle Night model has a quilted top, giving you a medium plush comfort. Both use Outlast fabric on the top of your mattress, ensuring that your body temperature is not too hot and not too cold. Our Copper Rest Sleep Series is our premier mattress, offering your choice of firm, plush, and luxury plush. Every model uses copper-infused gel latex and provides all the health benefits of copper. Accord Comfort mattresses are handcrafted in the USA and come with a 60-night sleep guarantee. You're going to love sleeping with us. Order today exclusively at accordsleep.com or Tom's Home Furnishings in beautiful downtown Harvey.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
My name is Rich Shook, and I lost my best friend in a grain bin accident.
Some of the emotional scars that when these incidences happen just resonates throughout the community like dropping a rock in a pond. I guess I'll never forget. At least the last moments we shared. That's why I think this is so important to get out there to people, is people think that it can't happen to you, and it can. The time it would take you to just kiss a loved one and your life is over. I believe it's unacceptable.
This message provided by North Dakota Farmers Union.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. So before the break, I told you about this very dark anti-North Dakota movie called Let Him Go. Now this is based on a novel. So the writer of the novel, who is based in our next door neighbors, Montana, he wrote this novel. He wrote a lot of novels about Big Sky Country. Most of them were about Montana. But he wrote this one about North Dakota, and apparently North Dakota must have been a bad experience for him. By the way, my rating on this movie is very negative, 4 Marxes. So I give positive ratings are 4 Reagans, negatives are 4 Marxes, and the scale is anywhere in between there. But this is a full-blown 4 Marxes, very bad, let him go. So why does North Dakota hate Hollywood? I know you're sick of hearing about politics and the elections, but this is my theory. They hate middle America, they hate rural Americans, they hate farmers, they hate working class people in middle America. Why? Because we have traditional values, because people in North Dakota and elsewhere in middle America tend to vote Republican, tend to be conservative, tend to be diametrically opposed to their way out, really warped way of thinking and the kinds of non-values, frankly, that they are pushing on America, to America's ruin, to America's ruination. And they don't like traditional people. I think that's why they portray North Dakota as evil. When you think about it, they have made all Americans think that people in these small rural places are backwards. They don't know what's good for them. They're not up to date with the times. And again, they're evil. All these haunted house movies, are there haunted houses in urban areas in these movies? No. The haunted houses are always somewhere out in the country. They're usually some old white people that live there, kind of like these people in this story there. Rural white people, they're scary, they're haunted, they're not good. So that's what the case is with these movies. So there's Fargo, and yes, I know that takes place in Fargo, a big city in our state, but the people in the movie are either idiots or they're criminals. I mean, I guess there's the smart policewoman, but even she is not that bright. So there's that movie. Then there's this movie, The Messengers, where this family moves from the hectic life of Chicago to get away from it all. And they move to North Dakota, to a sunflower farm to have some peace. And of course, what happens? Their farm and the farmhouse is taken over by demons. It has been possessed by demons. So North Dakota, evil. They chop people's hands off. Their police are corrupt. They steal people's grandsons, their crime families, they're idiots, and their houses are consumed by demons and evil ghosts. Yeah. This is Hollywood. This is Hollywood's portrayal of North Dakota. Don't forget that anytime you fund Hollywood. Now, since it is the weekend and it is Movie Friday, here's some good movie news. The Wedding Singers. Remember that movie? I love that movie. So hilarious. So, oh, I'm sorry. Wedding Singers. You know what? I gave the producers the wrong thing. I meant Wedding Crashers. That's on me. I wish there was a sequel to The Wedding Singer, but I meant Wedding Crashers. My fault, and I don't want to get this wrong on the show. The Wedding Crashers is making a sequel, and I should have put that in our summary. Sorry, producers. Sorry, Beck viewers. But The Wedding Crashers is making a comeback. Vince Vaughn has announced that he and Owen Wilson are talking and they're working on it, and it is going to happen 15 years later. Now, I don't understand these people who make sequels 15 years after the fact. 15 years is too long because these guys are in middle age now. This movie came out in 2005, so what's going to be in the sequel? Even though I really like the original, and I hope this one is funny, it's probably not going to be that good. But we'll see. I'm looking forward to it anyway. One other thing in pop culture news. Coca-Cola is eliminating over 200 drinks. So if you like Tab or Zico or some of these other smaller brands, Adwala, which was the fruit drink, those fruit smoothies, bye-bye. Get stock up now because they are going to stop making them. You know what? It took the pandemic for them to thin things out, but they were going to get rid of these poor performing brands anyway. All right, so I want to tell you about something that's going on in North Dakota this weekend, especially if you're in the Minot area, because this is great for kids. The Minot Public Library has created activities at homes for kids of all ages. And you know what else they're doing this weekend? They're hosting a drive-through Lego giveaway. And we all know times are tough right now. People don't have a lot of money if they're out of work or they're struggling. Their business is not doing well because of things. People are not going out as much and not buying as much. Every penny counts. And guess what? 250 free Lego building kits. Lego is expensive. Will be offered to kids ages 15 and under. This is a good deal. So the children's librarian says the goal of activities like this is to boost creativity. And it's a first come, first serve event. Children must be present in the vehicles. So no blow up dolls or anything like that. No cutouts. You got to have your actual kids there to get those Lego kits. And if you have more than one kid, you probably need to bring those kids in your car to get those kits. All right? Now, the governor has raised the threat level, as I mentioned earlier, in 22 counties. And North Dakota, there are all kinds of media reports that we can't shake our status as the worst per capita COVID number. And I have told you before that if you do the numbers about our population, 762,062 people, it's still negligible. It's in the 10,000th how many people have died. In the fraction, it's the 0.00 and then the fourth number. That's where we are. It's a percentage, it's a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a fraction. All right? It's statistically insignificant. So we have said on this show many times before, if you are in that group, we feel for you. If you're, the families of these loved ones who passed away, it's so sad. But as I've pointed out on this show, many of these people, they were much older and they had underlying conditions. And as I pointed out on this show, the governor is not identifying the people who died by underlying conditions anymore. So we won't know. And yes, it is true that the other day, North Dakota had its high of 29 deaths. And the latest number is 17 deaths. So in the past 2 days, we have had, if my math is correct, 46 deaths. And that is very unfortunate. It's very sad. But that doesn't mean take away everybody's freedom. Unfortunately, if Joe Biden gets elected, that may happen. As we have mentioned on the show, Joe Biden has openly said that if things don't get better, he's going to have a national lockdown. Also, if things don't get better, he is going to have a national mask mandate. That is not a good thing. Now, one other thing that isn't good, and that is that the mayor of Grand Forks has ordered a curfew on places that have a liquor license that sell alcohol. Why? You have to close early at 11. That's going to stop COVID from 11 p.m. till later. It's not going to do a thing. And maybe we'll talk more about this on Monday. But for now, remember, things are not always as they seem. And have a great weekend.